Welcome back to Help with Coding. Yesterday I showed you all how to write a for loop. If you haven't seen that yet, go check it out. Today I'm going to show you an easier way to solve yesterday's problem. If you weren't here yesterday, this problem involves looping through the entire list of values and adding each of them together in a total variable. What we're going to be using today is called the for each loop. The for each loop doesn't require many steps to loop through an entire list. In fact, it's quite simple actually. Let's get into it. The first thing we're going to do is just delete this whole for loop. We don't need that. The first thing we're going to be writing in this for each loop is the word for. Pretty similar to the for loop. Then we're going to do an open parenthesis, open squiggly bracket, close squiggly bracket. Next, what we're going to do is write the logic inside the for each loop. And I mentioned before, it's a lot simpler than the for loop. The first statement we're going to write in this for each loop is the variable that is going to hold each value we get to in the array. If that sounds complicated, it's really not. So essentially, if we were to loop through an array of numbers, we need to visit each position individually. When we want to do work with each position individually, we need to store that value somewhere. This variable will hold it. After we define this variable, we're going to add a colon. Make sure it's not a semicolon because that will break your program. And then all we need to add is what list or array we want to go through. In our case, we are going to loop through array of numbers. And voila, this will loop through your entire list and visit every single value. One thing to mention before writing anything else is that the first statement, our int num to add, has to match the class of the values inside the array of numbers. All that means is if array of numbers stores a lot of integers, we want this first statement to be defined as an int, not a string, not anything else. Okay? Now inside this for each loop, we need to do some work with each value, right? We want to add it to total. So all we need to write here is total plus equals num to add. Semicolon. And that's it. This will get us the same exact result as that for loop we wrote yesterday in much less complex logic. Let's run it and let's take a look what we get. Bring in the terminal here and we're going to run it. And we can see it prints out 55 just like yesterday. Thanks for joining me and see you tomorrow.